We're going to dispense the flag salute since it's just the one item. I do want to remind everybody that this is a public meeting, so when you address the board, make sure you give us your name and address. And we will, this is a public meeting, and we're going to just jump right into item number 1, which is the City of Echo grant. And Dan, did you want to frame this, or do you want me to start, or how do you want to do that?
I can frame it. Let's back this up all the way. Well, actually, almost a year and a half ago, on when we started looking at mitigation and recovery from the 2019 and 2020 floods, we knew that there was an issue. A formal group was formed called the Mid-Umatilla Recovery Coalition. The MERC has been working with federal and state agencies for the last basically 20 months, trying to get permits for recovery and for mitigation, all the way from basically the I-84 bridge about all the way to Nolan. Lots of meetings have taken place. Lots of applications are in the process. So in the meantime, jump forward to 2022, and then the last 6 weeks, a gentleman by the name of Bink Ramus is held the property straight across from the city of Echo, just up from the Echo, the state highway bridge in Echo. Began losing land 2 years ago significantly. And then this year accelerated with the springs, with this spring's runoffs, and began actually losing anywhere from 10 to 60 feet of his hay field. As that sloughed off into the Umatilla River, it moved downriver in front of the Sathers property and even further. Also during the flood, there was a gravel bar that formed and split the river. And then this year, the river became dominant on Bink Ramus's property side. Bink Ramus generously, at the last critical meeting, said, "Hey, my pasture is gone. I've lost that property. I've lost all that property I invested in. Right now, we need to salvage and see what we can do about saving the property, the homes of Gina Sather, but also there's historic sites in there, St. Peter's Church. There's historic and cultural sites for the tribes." We met with several of the federal and state agencies, I guess twice in the last week and a half, 2 weeks now. A gentleman by the name of Bill Abity, the Corps of Engineers out of Portland supervisor, gave the city of Echo the authority, once the property was within imminent danger, to go ahead and start rocking and armoring the wall in front of those properties. The huge issue here, and it's been a huge issue since the very beginning of this, I'm going to call it an episode, and a regulatory and statutory just nightmare to get to where we are. And sadly, it's taken this imminent danger to get the approval of the Corps of Engineers to be able to armor this bank. The problem is nobody has money to do that. The federal agency controls, through the Corps of Engineers, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife controls that. The state of Oregon issued a DSL emergency permit, ODF. All of the agencies have progressed even on an emergency level to some degree or another, but no funding. So once the imminent danger approval came in from the Corps of Engineers, I think that the only place that there may be funding, or I know it's the only place there's funding right now, is from the county through our ARPA funds. Luckily, through discussions, some of those funds had already been addressed or at least discussed from the ARPA funding that we just received. So that's background. I'll answer any questions that anybody has. But the property is in imminent danger. There is no doubt about that. If you visited the site, you can see how much is sloughing. The armament has actually begun. Talking to Dave Slate, manager of Echo today, the next big issue is going to be the removal of debris, because now that there's a debris issue, the water's being forced right smack into Terry Lindsay's property and the city of Echo. So I'll let it go at that. Any questions if anybody has?
Is there, I'm certainly not Anderson Perry, but when I went out there to look, it appears that the path of the river has shifted rather dramatically. And is there anything that can be done about that?
Yeah, the removal of the bar in the middle of the river is the only solution to that, to bring the channel back or even close to where it was before. But that's going to have to wait until waters recede, and that's a whole different permit, and that one's going to be difficult to get. There is no doubt about it, because of fish migration. Just a little historical background. Those properties that are in imminent danger, those homes were built in 1900 and 1905, 1910. So that channel has been well over 300 feet from those homes for over 100 years. So it's not like it's something that happened overnight, and it is a historical grounds that the tribes are losing artifacts every day. In fact, you can watch the artifacts slough off with the dirt.
I know when I was there Saturday, from the road, Bink, you were there, and you pointed out, oh, there goes some more. And Dave and I walked in after you'd left, walked onto the field, and we saw a massive chunk slough into the river. So I'm glad that armory is starting to take place. I spoke with Dave a couple times yesterday, so I knew that was happening.
Is Bink in the audience today?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I'd like to get on record thanking Bink for his generosity. I mean, he has forced the issue in a lot of different ways. And he watched his property go away, and I just feel sorry for Bink. He's been very professional throughout this ordeal, and I don't know what to say, Bink, to be honest.
Bink, if you want to come up to the podium and address us.
Well, so Bink Ramus, I'm the landowner there in Echo. Dan, I want to tell you thank you. I appreciate what you've done. Your efforts when we met last summer, I would say, kind of reinvigorated me into pushing this a bit further. By no means are we anywhere close to having a resolution, and in fact, as if you come back down and look, as you guys have, the in-stream issue will continue. It's going to persist and get worse, because anywhere we've slowed the water down in the trees, as you saw, John, Commissioner Schaefer, anywhere we slowed water down, we then drop additional sediment and deposits, and so we continue to fill now the center of the channel instead of either the right or the left side. So it's going to take the Corps of Engineers to wake up and realize what, by not allowing some sort of we'll say stabilization or channel control, the problem has gotten bigger and bigger, to the point that I can ill afford to even address it. Where last year, when you were down, Dan, and we looked at that, we had a good proposal and a fix to take care of it, and the system's broke. To be honest, the NRCS allowed us $75,000 worth of time and funds to engineer a program or a system to redirect the river back, and it was a matter of opening the head of the channel at that bar. John and George, you guys have seen it. Open that up just slightly, and then drop a couple of barbs in upstream and force the river back towards the center. They invested $75,000, I believe is what it was, or close to it. I had told them at the time I would up to $30,000. I had the funds set aside for that. Or a minor disagreement over the way that a root ball was to be laid in to these engineered barbs. Corps of Engineers and Division of State Lands rejected that. So I can sit here and go and name call and do all those things, but it does no good at this point. Looking back, that does no good. We need to look forward, but the system is broke. When we have to jump through 67 hoops or get permitting from several different agencies on a situation like this to try to mitigate damage, whether it be a historical site or homes within a community, that something needs to be addressed there. And that's, if anything, as you as commissioners in pushing these people to do those types of things. I mean, this isn't an out of the ordinary situation. This is more a runoff event that we would normally see through time. Last year was a low runoff year, and it was the ideal situation to address this and try to fix this problem. We talk about fish, you know, and I think I'm a steward. I'm a conservative and look at the environment and trying to pass it on to my family or my kids. Fish are important, but what we're doing or what we propose and what we could have done years ago weren't going to impact the fish negatively on that stretch. Now, this is a Band-Aid, and as you pointed out, Dan, this thing needs to be addressed throughout the Umatilla Basin, because these types of things happen upstream that impact us below and above, and they will continue through from my property to the Umatilla, or to the mouth, down to the, with the state of Oregon, they need to come out and look at and see the damage that this has caused, and they're kicking the can down the road. What it has led to. That's ultimately where we're at.
I think the sad part in all of this, and you mentioned it Saturday, is 2 years ago, you know, we were beating the drum saying, hey, this is gonna happen, and you know, this is what's gonna come down if nothing is changed to fix this. Well, here we are 2 years later, and unfortunately, what you predicted is exactly what's happening.
And George's known me for quite a while, and I'm not a fortune teller by any means, but I grew up on that river, and for over 40 years, probably 45 years, we protected the trees, we protected the property, and we try to protect the fish. And we have done a disservice to all three of those resources at this point in time. That's property-wise, it's irreversible. I did the math yesterday, and there's approximately 70,000 cubic yards of topsoil that we'll never get back. It's somewhere down the Umatilla River, filling spawning beds and causing havoc downstream. So somebody needs to be accountable or held accountable. There needs to be some consequences besides somebody potentially losing their house or losing some property. They talk about wanting the river to meander. That's great if there's trees on either side to cool it as it moves from side to side. We lost 100-year-old trees off of my family's property further up to Umatilla, and those are some of the ones that have lodged close to my property there in Echo, and it's going to continue to cause issues or concerns. So thank you for the time, thank you for what you guys are doing, and it does not go unnoticed. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
The 75,000 that Nick referred to, the 75,000 we provided.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
So you're talking about artifacts, historical artifacts, cultural artifacts, property, homes, but what about the bridge?
The bridge is fine. The ODOT inspected the bridge. The bridge is.
The bridge isn't. I mean, I don't think the bridge has been impacted, but it looks like it could be
That is correct.
potentially.
And this is, that photo you saw was an old photo. You ought to see it now. I mean, that's,
Well, I saw statistics that show it's getting closer to the bridge. isn't it?
Dan, when were you back down there?
Just before I left, so I guess Friday morning was the last time I was there.
Okay, so it's up, the river's up, I wanna say, it looked to me, I haven't checked, but I'm gonna say it's running around 5,000 CFS right now.
Yeah, I just looked 4,900.
Okay. If on the city side of the bridge, city side and on the lower portion, like you were saying, on Linda Terry's property, it has done some pretty severe eroding again in the last 2 days. So not that on my side of the river, it looks to be in pretty good shape, but I would be concerned based on the way that has been sweeping through and almost to a 90 into that lower piling. But again, I have not crawled under there to take a look, and it's really none of my business at this point. That's an ODOT concern, so I can't address it.
Yeah, no, I talked to Paul on Friday. They were going to take another look at it midweek, but that's really their issue. It's not, but I don't think I don't have a real big concern over that. That's buried down into bedrock. So, but anything can happen. But right now, the reason the bridge worries me is just debris buildup.
Thank you. That is a good point. Is it anything that we can catch on that center pillar?
Yep.
I was looking at some trees that were just on the down riverside. I think it's Linda Terry's property maybe. And those trees are now, according to Dave, are gone. So,
There was another row of trees lost this morning.
oh wow. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
so
it.
Dave said that today, that those other 6 trees went this morning.
Okay. No surprise there. Did you want to come in and address the board?
Well, actually, my name is Cammie Walborn, and I'm actually here as an advocate for my sister Casey Christensen. Her address is the 75849 Leisure Avenue in Echo, Oregon. She lives right across the street from your property, on the corner there, right on the main road. She's actually on the phone with me, so she can hear what you guys are talking about. But she's actually wondering, and so am I, what is I know you're planning on trying to put funds forward to do some improvements right now. She doesn't know anything about any plan. Do you guys have a plan as far as what's gonna? She said that maybe moving the sandbar in the middle of the river so that it can have more flow, but is there a short-term, like right now plan?
I can address that probably. The answer is no. What right now is we're trying to save those homes. That's what this funding is for. The county really is in a tough spot because we are not an applicant even on the permits. We did hire Kyle Wagner, and he's working through the Soil and Conservation District, but he's under contract with the county. He's performing and writing the permits, or helping and assisting the landowners and the city of Echo to write permits right now. As Bink mentioned and I mentioned earlier, and it's sad to say, is the only plan we have right now is to try and get the permits moving through the federal level. I think that we have addressed most of the states' issues, except for maybe the Water Resources Department on the fish and game side. But DSL seems to be working with us. But right now, we do not have anything but an emergency, or we don't. The city of Echo and the property owners have nothing but an emergency permit right now to armor the embankment to try to save the homes. So is there a short-term plan for the whole MRC? The answer is no. The only plan in place is to march forward with these permits and try to, as Bink mentioned, try to keep our thumb on the agencies and moving forward. It's become a lot more evident to the Corps of Engineers, the need but that doesn't mean that the permits are moving any faster.
And I'd like to tag on to that too, that, and Bink mentioned it, that there was already kind of like the $75,000 kind of had a plan in place to divert the stream. Well, now that so much of that bank is eroded away, that plan is pretty much useless.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, we still have a plan. It's not useless. It is a basis to move forward. The problem with that plan was when NRSC did finish the plan, like Bink mentioned, there was a rejection or a request for modification on the barbs and the root balls. But that plan will still be adequate on it because we do have a 10% construction, but we still have to get approvals. That plan stays alive and moving, but it'll have to be modified. It's not a dead plan. It will have to be modified. And Kyle Wagner is working with all of these different agencies, trying to make sure that we can streamline the permit request as they go through. But again, it takes the thumb of the community to make sure that pressure remains.
Weren't we told the other day, this property technically is not in the city of Echo, it's in the county, isn't that right?
Yes, where they're doing the armament right now is in the county.
We're going to take a vote in a minute, and I have no direct conflict, personal conflict in this decision. But as Rick indicated, it's a much broader concern. Merck extends actually beyond Nolan. And I have a direct familial interest in this matter because of significant losses that we've experienced beyond Nolan, where we have actually a 35-foot bank. There used to be 35 acres, now there's 17. So if we go farther, I just want that as a matter of record.
With that said, Chairman Schaefer, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I would move to approve the reimbursement to the city of Echo for up to $400,000 for flood mitigation from the ARPA funding.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye with a big emphasis.
Amen to that. So, okay, motion carries. I want to thank you two, and well, three, I guess there's one on the phone. Thank you for coming, and obviously this is very important, a very important issue to you, and we appreciate you coming. I want to express my thanks for you to show up and give us a little bit more clarification too. So.
Thank you, all three of you as well. And again, all I ask is in your positions, continue to shed the light on this so that from a county agency and moving it up through the state and to the federal level. Because I understand you guys you're handcuffed to the point that we are. But we're going to continue to voice our opinions, and I'm not letting this go.
Good.
And I hope that you guys will do the same thing, and you're welcome down there anytime to take a look, to bring people in. I hate to say it, but I finally caved in and gave a statement to the reporter yesterday.
Saw that.
He did clean things up just a little bit, which Dan, for you, I kept her pretty civil. So again, you guys have I can't say thanks enough.
Who lives the property I drove down the street, and just before those signs, but there was a shop on one side and a house on the other.
So that's John Christensen is on the one side, George, and then Sathers and Gina and Dennis Sather and their kids. There's the Marinos. I'm trying to think. There's people there's people I grew up with. I went to school with. People that have owned those homes before I was there, and these types of things it gets kind of emotional.
Absolutely.
So try and maintain professionalism and leave the emotion out is important at your guys' level. So again, can't say thanks enough.
Well, I don't have to tell you what a cheerleader Commissioner Doran is, and he's pushing hard, and
Yep.
so I appreciate your efforts on that, so.
So is there anything our family on this side can do to help push things further as far as helping? Is there anything we can do as a family to help work towards a goal also?
I think it's
Go ahead.
really important. I think it's really important that the MERC stays together because it's starting to be recognized as a strong group. I wish that we could get more people to participate, but it is a very, very strong group. So if you're not on the MERC mailing list, I think it's important because it gives you a very strong voice, and Bink's got his emotion runs through his family, and there's several members of their family, but others that participate in that. And the one thing that we do have with that group right now is the attention of all of the agencies. That sounded kind of political, I know, but I'm learning the hard way that government doesn't work at the same speed as most of us.
The speed of government, yeah, for sure.
Hey guys, I've got to jump back up on the Rough Tough meeting. So
I'm just, the gavel's in hand, we're gonna adjourn, so.
okay, thank you guys.
Thanks, everybody, appreciate your time, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you familiar, Bink, what I was talking about?
Yes.